Hello.
Oh, hello.
We are getting ready for episode 3.3.
3.3.
As they say in the podcast world.
Oh, yeah. I should have known that since I'm in the podcast world.
Right. Our very important, serious podcast that we have.
Yes.
Well, this is kind of or for me at least, this is one of the best times of the year for books. Mm-hmm. Because just like with movies, they put out like the big name, big stuff that they're really excited about in the fall.
Right.
And, not everything goes that way, but it's just like a good time of year to see what the stuff that's coming out there.
Do you think that's something to do with the Oscars?
For the movies, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously,
not for
the books.
for nothing else. But I've just always,
But yeah, for the Oscars, they like slide them in, like right at the end of the year.
Yeah, like beginning of the year feels a little weak. Mm-hmm. Then you got your summer blockbusters.
Yep.
Then
which are going to be their own thing.
And, yeah. Then it's Oscar time.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we've sorted that out. That's why we're here.
Now you know. But with books, that's kind of a similar thing. But so I've got a ton of things I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And some that I've just kind of started or touched on or ordered or that kind of thing.
So yeah. Not sure yet.
Yeah.
TBDs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think there's some good stuff that I'm excited about. So that's going to kind of be the focus on that.
Okay.
For book-wise. But then there's been a lot of things that I've been watching lately. And I don't know. It's a very mixed bag. And some things are super weird.
It's my favorite kind of bag.
Okay. Good. Because I was trying to think of, is there any kind of like connection between all these things? Zero.
Nope.
There's nothing.
Great.
The books, like, you can kind of see, or at least the connection is that they're like coming out at this time of year.
Right.
Otherwise, who knows? So the first book that I want to talk about is coming out in November, and it's called The Library of Fragile History.
Oh.
Yes, by Andrew Pettigrew and Arthur Derwedowin.
Oh. Of course.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah, Arthur. And so basically it is one of the first historical reviews of the library as an institution. Mm-hmm. So it goes back to the ancient ones, and how libraries were gathered or collected at and for a very long time, until very recently, libraries were for the rich and by the rich, and only collected by, people who were, of a certain, social class or the educated class or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's lots of good information in it. It's really, I think it's, we know that in our lifetime, the change that the library has undergone, like in the public library world, but over the centuries, it's like not imaginable. It's almost, you almost can't even call them the same thing.
I was about to say, my mind's racing a little bit. This is cool. Yeah.
So definitely, it's coming out, like I said, in November, and it's going to be one of those I think a lot of people are going to be lining up to read.
Cool.
And then the next one, I'm excited about it. I don't know how many other people are into Nick Offerman, but I love Nick Offerman.
I do too.
And he's got a new book. He's written several.
Yeah, I'm forever bitter that, was it last year or the year before when he was like the guest speaker at TLA?
TLA.
It was it last year? Was it the COVID year? That's right, because it would have been my first year to go, and I was so excited.
Yeah, Texas Library Association annual conference. He was going to be there.
I know. I had these fantasies of because he is really into Wendell Berry, and my dad is friends with Wendell Berry, and so I had these fantasies of getting to bring that up to him. Not that it would have happened. I would have totally just turned red and freaked out. Yeah.
That's all I do whenever I see somebody famous. I'm just like,
yeah. So maybe best that didn't happen, but
you never know.
A girl can dream.
Maybe they'll entice him back at some point. But the book is called "Where the Deer and the Antelope Play: The Pastoral Observations of One Ignorant American Who Loves to Walk Outside."
Love it.
Yeah. And so it's just about him being in the outdoors.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, his voice, his writing voice, is just as funny as his.
That's great.
As his literal voice, and so, you know, I don't know if you have not read any of his books before. Mm-hmm. I guess this is probably a pretty good introduction to like his writing style.
Cool.
But if you have, then I think you know this is definitely right. It falls in line.
Perfect.
I think anybody would be pleased to pick it up,
if
and
you're
it's light reading.
Nice.
But he's a smart guy, so it's not like inane. It's not just you know silly comedy. It's.
I don't know. I like that combination a lot. I kind of think I'm like that as a person. Like, I don't know.
Serious but silly.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm smart but light at the same time.
Light,
smart. LITE.
Yes. Yeah. I will be on that bandwagon.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Like,
we know our limitations.
I definitely do. Anyone who listens to me speak on this podcast might be like, smart.
No, of course
I'm just not good at words, so like speaking them sometimes.
Yeah, that's an important thing when you're especially on a podcast.
I'm gonna write in my podcast conversation next time.
And
then you'll know I'm smart.
And you'll just read it.
Yeah.
We'll both just have a pre-written script that we read to each other back and forth.
And then they're just like, oh, well, now they're just bad actors. So, okay. Well, we'll stick to this. This is fine.
Yeah, this is probably the best you're going to get. So, anyway, Where the Deer and the Antelope Play.
Love it.
Coming out October. Yes, in October. So
I'm sorry. I feel like it's always really clear when we do this at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. A little punchy.
Yeah, a little punchy.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
That's going to be the name of the episode.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Jotting that down.
Yeah. And so the next one is, I mean, just fits right in there with what we're talking about being the end of the day and the workplace. Mm-hmm. It's called Per My Last Email. Ah! Witty, wicked, and wonderfully weird workplace words and phrases.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. So this is a quick little read, obviously, and it is a humorous one. Mm-hmm. But anybody that works in an office or has been adjacent to an office or has heard of it, watch the show The Office.
Yeah, exactly.
You know about circle back.
Yeah.
And follow up.
Yeah.
And all of those, you know, like, I don't have the bandwidth for that or whatever, you know, like...
Yeah.
Which I always want to say, but never do because it's so dumb. But it fits, you know?
Yes. I don't have the bandwidth for that.
But there's, you know, lots of irons in the fire. And our plates are full.
Oh,
yeah,
Crystal.
Yeah. So anyway, it's funny. It's a quick little read.
I really like that.
I think it's cute. Also coming out in October.
Cool.
And then there's some others that are coming out like more in the spring. Well, actually, there's one that's coming out it's coming out next week or the end of this week. So I'll touch on that one first, and then the ones more further along. But September 11th, 2001, The Day the World Changed Forever, is a graphic novel that is coming out the end of this week.
Huh.
And so I've all of these that I'm reviewing now or talking about now are ones I've seen the pre-release copies. Mm-hmm. So I've only seen a digital copy of it.
Okay.
So I think that, especially with graphic novels, it's a little bit harder to get into.
Yeah, that's true.
When you're looking at a small screen.
Yeah.
But it's intriguing. And it's like these different, like, individual viewpoints of, you know, like, people's recounting
that day.
Like, that day. And I think, well, and also it ties in because we're doing, on September 10th this year, we're having a program that's going to be about, like, where were you, you know, at that time. Because this is the 20th anniversary of that.
Which is really crazy.
It is.
Yeah. And,
I mean, I remember precisely, you know,
Same.
every minute of that, you know, when it happened. I think everybody did. So I want to look at it in, like, its larger paper format, but it was intriguing, the part that I did see. So hopefully that's going to be good. Let's see. Then, so coming out in the spring are one that it's a reprint. It's a new edition of a book that I read in college because I had a class on vampires in literature.
Cool.
It was a very cool class.
It was
very,
very,
so
very
fun.
cool.
It was in literature and in film, so we watched adaptations of all kinds of stuff. And Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu is was written like 25 years before Dracula, but it's it's one of the earliest vampire novels. Okay, and so it is very exactly what you would think it is, like from 1870 something or 60 something.
All of the stereotypes. Yeah,
but it does take a different. It's about a female vampire, so it's very it's a different, very different tone than from Dracula, for example.
Definitely.
But if you're interested in that, and or in vampires or in Dracula or any of that stuff, I would definitely. This is also a really short, quick read, and I think that people would appreciate it.
I'll have to,
as being an early version of that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And then another one that's coming out by the author of The Warehouse, which I read and reviewed here, Rob Hart. He's written The Paradox Hotel, which I'm very... I think it's going to be so much fun.
The look in her eye just
now. First of all, it hits all the things. It's like, it's a locked room mystery.
Yep.
At a hotel for time travelers. And there's another check. And there's a detective trying to solve a crime. And from this guy who wrote I thought, a really great novel, The Warehouse, which is about this, like... just as a reminder, big box kind of store in like a near alternate future, but like could really be happening today and we just wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
Where people like live and work in these big like cities basically. But yeah, kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And so it's very cool. The main character is January Cole.
Ugh, great name. Check that off.
Yeah. There's a murderer on the loose. I mean,
check.
All the things.
Yeah.
That's not coming out though until February. So I kind of I hate to bring it up, but I think you should be ready to pounce on it when it comes out.
Excellent. Yeah. Mark your calendars.
Exactly.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. And then another one is a writer who, but I think I probably think of Lisa Lutz, who's this writer, kind of on the same level. Like, not my very favorite, but they just write like consistently. I'll read whatever they put out.
Right. Yeah. That's
and
fair.
So, and this one sounds pretty good. This is called The Accomplice. And she's also written some stuff that's kind of more like humor related kind of stuff. But this one is definitely not. It's about these two friends, and it's Owen and Luna, and they're kind of, they're so close, but they were never like a couple, and so they're kind of mysterious in that way. Like, what is this connection that they have? Yeah, and then they're best friends through their whole lives, but then years later, Owen's wife is murdered, and Luna finds her.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so there's secrets.
Yeah,
we'll just leave it. That's
okay.
That's a teaser there, but yeah. So,
takes my mind to many a place.
Yes,
so
could be all kinds of things. And then the last book I think that I will mention is Hummingbird Salamander, which just 2 words.
Yeah.
Let's just grab 2 words out of the air.
Put them together.
Yeah. This is by Jeff Vandermeer, who wrote the Southern Reach trilogy, like Annihilation, which was there was a movie with Natalie Portman based on that. And so this is another like speculative fiction novel, and it's also like a mystery, like a very, I don't, we're into escape rooms and like the kind like all these kinds of things.
We are.
So basically, this security consultant receives an envelope with a key to a storage unit.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
There's I mean, who doesn't want to receive the key to like somebody send me a key to a storage unit.
I know.
Even if it's just I'll be like searching for an empty mystery the rest of my life. Just
like there's that
fun.
show, is it Storage Wars? And let me tell you, I usually can't make it through the whole thing, but I love the beginning where it's like,
what are they
gonna be? Yeah, and if it's not immediately like a pirate's treasure chest, I'm like, switch the channel. But
it never is. It's never anything.
It's always like stressful. There's like a bunch of boxes with stuffed animals falling out of them. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you just imagine like the scenario. How did these things get?
Yeah,
left there?
It ends up being kind of sad. But hey, that beginning, it's a good beginning.
Yeah, the mystery,
the
locked door. You know that you want to
exactly. Yeah.
So, inside is a taxidermied hummingbird.
See, I would stay tuned for that.
Right. And then there's clues that lead her to a taxidermied salamander.
Oh.
Hence the 2 words in the title.
Okay.
So that's what kicks off the mystery there. And so another good one by Vandermeer, who has kind of proven himself in the last few years.
Again, sure.
Yeah. So those are the books that are coming up. And there's a lot more that I'm going to get to next time because we don't want to, we're not going to be here all night. But there are some shows that I want to mention that have drawn me in. And the first one is The Chair, and it's on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's Sandra Oh. Plays the main character. She's the chair of an English department at a university. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, Emily is writing this down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Sandra
you gotta go. Yeah.
Netflix, the chair, yes.
All
English departments.
More
yes,
checks.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think it's funny. It's I was flipping back and forth between episodes of that and then episodes of Bake Squad, which I'll get to next. But it is kind of like The Office or Parks and Rec, where it's realistic. And I worked in an English department for a long time, and so I, have insider knowledge.
Checks out.
But it's also over the top. So it's just like, and like now we know, like with Parks and Rec, we're adjacent to Parks and Rec.
Slightly over the top.
It's only slightly, yeah. There's just a lot of reality and truth there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's basically the same like vibe that you get from this is that, she plays the chair and she's like 40 in her 40s and the youngest except for one person in the department.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And all the others are, like the funding's getting cut and they're gonna start firing people or trying to make them retire or whatever.
So is it a comedy?
Yes.
Okay, I figured. That would have been unexpected if it was a drama.
Right. I mean, there's clearly like some relationship drama and some stuff like that.
Yeah, but we're here for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's exciting. I hadn't heard of it.
And so I've seen like 3 episodes of it.
Cool.
But, but then the Bake Squad is also on Netflix, and both of these got served up to me. How Netflix
You'll
does.
like this,
and they were right. Christina Tossi is, and now I can't think of the name of her bakery. She's a famous baker, and she has you can buy her like cakes or whatever online, and they'll ship them to you. But she also has like big bakeries.
I'm gonna try to look it up to see if I can quickly.
And she's worked with some other Milk Bar.
Yes. Okay, and I did know Milk Bar or that name. So interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she's worked with other famous chefs, but so she has this show, which is like a unique take on a food kind of show or competition show. She has these 4 people that work for her, like her crew, her team, her squad. And they, like, one of them is a chocolate expert, and one of them is an expert on cakes, and one of them, so they all have 4 different, like, things that they're known for. And then they get a job. Like, somebody asks them to make something, and then they all have to come up with their version of it, and then, like, pitch it.
Yeah.
And then the person picks whichever one they want.
That is cool.
Yeah. So it's the same people every episode competing against each other,
That's
basically.
Cool.
Yeah. So nobody's getting kicked off and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and because, on any of those shows, there's somebody who does have a specialty area, and they are geniuses in that area. But if anything else comes along, so that's cool.
Yeah, like the chocolate guy, not great at making a cake, But
I'm not going to discount him because he can't make a cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I've enjoyed it. And then I was doing lots of Netflix, so lots of these are Netflix. But Misha and the Wolves is a documentary.
Nick watched it the other day, and I came in for the end and was like, oh, dang.
I don't even need to say anything. That sums it up right there.
Oh, dang.
It is wild.
What a ride. What a crazy, juicy story.
Yes. So basically the story, I'm not going to give anything away. But
this is in the trailer, because I did watch the trailer before it came out.
Yeah, and yeah. So it's about a woman who is a Holocaust survivor who writes a book about
her
experience of being, like, left behind. Her parents are disappeared, and then she's on her own, and she lives with wolves. Is what it's like.
Goodness.
So she writes a book about this, and then you just buckle up.
Yeah.
To see, like, I wrote that it's riveting and weird.
Yeah.
So
parentheses. Weird.
And don't forget the weird part.
Yeah.
But and I'm not usually, I'm not all easily drawn into stories like that. But I was very curious about this.
Yeah, there's a big fat twist. That again is mentioned in the trailer, but you don't have to say it here.
Right. Yeah.
But because I do think it's, like, better if you don't know.
Well, that was what it was. So I turned it on, and then I was like, do I want to look at this book? Do I want to look it up and see? No.
Right.
I want to go on the ride.
Yeah.
And I had not heard anything about this before, which I find amazing. There's so many of these documentaries that are coming out these days that are just really, really great stories. And it's like, how come we're not getting them?
How have I just heard about this because of this documentary?
Not all the time, but there's a lot of these.
For real. Yeah. I mean, with this situation, I feel like maybe I'd vaguely heard about this being a thing, but I didn't. I don't know if it was this specific woman.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about probably what people think it's not even the wolves that we're talking about here, okay?
Yeah.
Weird.
Exactly. Just try it out. Check it out. It's out there. And then, so after that I started, and I don't know if I'm going to continue it, but Interior Design Master. Sometimes I like to just, like, zone out and watch pretty stuff.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
This is more like, okay, there was, like, one of the first, like, designer challenge shows.
Yeah.
Was, and it just now was occurring to me. I wasn't trying to think about this until just now, but it was a British show.
Okay.
And it was like they'd have this team of people that would go and they would, like, do somebody's room or in their house or whatever as a surprise, and then the people would come in and be like, "What the heck? How did you?"
And what were the reactions like? Always good?
No.
Okay. Because what was the one where people would switch houses? Was it like house swap or something
like that? Yeah, well, I think that's the one, and that was, like, the first one.
Yeah.
Where, like, neighbors would switch.
Oh my gosh.
Bad idea.
I
mean, good television idea, but bad idea.
But I would never. I remember somebody, like, had a room where the walls were, like, moss.
Oh yeah, because it was like they had a small budget. They couldn't just get anything that they wanted.
But how much do you hate your neighbors?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
That's a lot of work to ruin a whole room. I guess it was just a room of their house.
It was like a 1 in 4 chance somebody's going to cry on every
episode. And in that one, it was 100,000% chance that someone was going to cry.
But that was started this whole wave of interior design stuff.
Yeah.
And
that's so true. I've never thought about that.
I hadn't thought about it till just now, actually, but it did, because it was 20 years ago.
It was a while ago.
It was on. And then they had an American version, because this was on the BBC. Anyway, whatever the name of that show was, it was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And we have them to thank for this thing that we were watching. And so this one takes people who are not yet professional interior designers, but are trying to up and coming, but they have they've proven themselves in this competition, and it's also British. It's on Netflix.
Cool.
But they're competing against each other to see who's going to be the top one.
Okay.
And I don't know.
She's wrinkling her nose, folks.
Yeah. I need
I know.
subtitles or or we just need to do a video.
Or can we have a narrator?
To describe what our face... I don't want to know all the time what my face is doing.
No, thank you.
Yeah. We don't need to show all the things. So anyway, I don't know. You might like it, but I don't know that I'm going to continue. It's just, it's not riveting and weird.
I was just about to say, not riveting?
No.
Okay.
No.
Not riveting, not weird.
Exactly. 2 strikes. So then, I don't think I mentioned last week that there's some new episodes of Grace and Frankie.
Yes, that's one of the things we started watching because I didn't realize that they're only putting some out, and I know the others were coming out later, but not until October or something.
No, 2022.
Excuse me. No.
Yeah. So it is a super cute show. We've talked about it before.
It is. I love Grace and Frankie.
But so they just put out 4 episodes of what will be the final season, but it won't come out until after.
I didn't realize that it would be the final season. Man, yeah, it's great. Those women, so great forever in their own separate ways. Lily Tomlin, man.
Yeah. When I was a kid, this dates me, but I think nobody is going to be surprised by how old I am. But she was in, I just loved her. She played this little girl that she would be in this big chair.
I know what you're talking about.
Lilith Ann, I think. Yeah. And then she was in a TV movie, I think, called The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yeah.
Which was also just, she's just hilarious.
I want to say she was in a Muppet movie or a Sesame Street movie or something that I watched when I was a kid. Yeah. That came out in the 90s or something. And that's what I knew her from. And I just always, I don't know. I've always loved her. She's so hilarious in this.
Oh, yeah.
She's who I want to be as an old woman. Maybe not completely, but, but I like her outlook and...
Yeah.
No, she
has a very crunchy granola vibe.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be that crunchy granola, but...
No, it is good. But I started thinking about... Because, Jane Fonda is in her 80s. And this woman, both of them, it's
And she's
unreal.
amazing. She's a whole other podcast, too. I heard her on a podcast a couple of years ago. And she just... knows herself. She's in her 80s, but she knows herself so well and trusts herself and has done some amazing things in her life. I won't keep us, but
she's really interesting. But it made me remember for some reason some of her earlier work.
Yeah.
So of course, she did Barbarella.
Yep.
And some crazy stuff in the 60s. My sister and
I watched Barbarella within the last couple of years.
Really?
Yeah. It was so weird, it made me feel weird. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, you haven't even scratched the surface of weirdness, okay?
It gave me almost a weird feeling in my stomach. Just what am I looking at?
She was also in a movie in the 70s called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Okay. Which is about a like a dance off. Like you can't stop dancing, and it is dark. It is not a comedy. It's crazy. So the 70s is just rife with really unreal stuff. But then in 1968, she was in a movie that I had seen years ago, and I just sort of like started thinking about it because I was watching these shows. And it's called Spirits of the Dead, and it was directed by her husband at the time, Roger Vadim, whatever, however you pronounce it. And her brother. So it's like several different stories.
Directed by both of them?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's just by her husband at the time.
Okay.
But her brother is in the film with her. Mm-hmm. And it's based on these unknown or very lesser known Edgar Allan Poe stories.
Oh.
And so it's like 4 different short films basically in this one.
Oh.
And
are they split up? Like it's 4?
It's like different, 4 different like little vignettes. Yeah. The one that she and her brother are in, he plays her suitor.
No, I already knew where you were going with
that.
All right.
And it is weirder than you can. I'm not even going to try to articulate the weirdness that it is.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it and being like, "Hey, that's they're brother and sister." And then I'm like,
"Wait, they're brother and sister."
Because I watched it without knowing anything about it. Like I didn't know the historical context. Yeah.
Ooh.
Let me tell you.
So Jane has been through a lot, and we love her and respect her for it.
Yes. Then there was like a period of time when, well, I'm a sucker for like a tearjerker. Yeah. And I've talked about some of them that, like, especially from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Somewhere in time, like I would just like turn it on and be like instant.
Yeah.
I
remember you talking about that. Yes.
The English Patient.
Mm-hmm.
Cathartic. There was this movie called The Doll Maker. In 1984.
Okay.
And so this was a TV movie.
I'm real. Yeah. Okay. There's some trepidation over here.
It was a TV movie. I think it's like, and I'm like remembering this from watching it as a kid in 1984.
Right.
So maybe I don't get all the details, but Jane Fonda plays a woman. It's like in the Depression era. Who, let me just say, she's the doll maker.
Okay.
But there is a child involved in a train accident.
Oh,
with a child. Yeah. So my parents were letting me watch this.
Just willy-nilly.
Yeah. Unattended. And I'm pretty sure I watched it more than one time because I like... Yeah.
You remember it well enough. It probably wasn't just
And I remember it like being a not a tearjerker, but just like explosion.
Yeah.
Tear explosion.
Yeah.
It was very sad. And for some reason, I hadn't thought about that in years. And then I was watching this, and I don't know what triggered it, but I was like,
Frankie made you wait.
I just had a flashback to these like 2 extremely different, but pivotal in my memory Jane Fonda films.
It's why I love her.
I mean, she's done it all for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Have you ever done a workout video?
Yeah, we owned those.
Yeah. I told you how Callie and I tried to do one last year, and we got through the first like 10 minutes, and then we were like, "Man, I am exhausted. I can't even move my arms." And then Jane Fonda says in the video, "All right, now we finished the warm-up portion." Yeah. And we were like, "Ah!"
And then you turn it off.
And then you turn it off.
Yeah. No, she was serious business. And we owned the tapes. Yeah. And as little kids, we just, I don't know how many hundreds of times we watched them.
Follow along with Jane. Oh,
anyway, that just went all over the place. But
Grace and Frankie,
yes. Back to.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And then there was another season 2 of a show we've talked about before, Modern Love. It's on Prime.
Oh, I saw it advertised, and I thought they were just advertising it to me again. And I was like, I watched this.
There's only like a handful of new episodes. But the first one, talk about some tearjerkers. The first one is with Minnie Driver.
Mm-hmm.
And
who I've met Plug.
We'll have to circle back to that.
That's fine. We don't have time right now.
Yeah, our plates are too full right now. We'll circle back to the follow-up on that.
Yeah, the one Oscar nomination. Did she win? She's one of the bigger famous people that I've met. So gotta bring it up when I can.
Of course. Mm-hmm. I gotta hear about this too.
I'm dropping all kind of names this episode.
Yeah. But she, it is sad.
Really?
But it's good. Aww. It's very good. But Modern Love, if you don't remember, is these real stories from, I want to say New York Times or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that sounds right.
So they take these real stories that are like written in, and then they
sort of
fictionalize it.
Yeah.
So there's like some,
yeah.
And then the other ones in this new season,
yeah,
not good.
No.
But that one was worth it.
I liked from the first season. So
yeah, the other ones it felt like just unfinished or something, which I can get, it being during COVID, but yeah. And then the last thing that I'll mention, and we'll save the rest for another episode. No, 2 more things because I have to end with the weirdest thing.
I'm with you.
Fosse Verdon on Hulu.
Yes,
is good.
I've not watched it, but yes.
It has like as it kind of goes back and forth in time and between the different characters, and so it'll be like a subtitle or of the section or whatever the segment. It'll be like 28 years left.
Ah,
and you're like, left of what?
I like that.
And then
nice detail.
Or such and such months before heart attack.
So, yeah. Okay, that's
so
I'm doing a lot of screaming this episode too.
It's one of those days.
Yeah.
But or like number of months since last Oscar award or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of told in an interesting way.
That's
it's like it's a unique structure. But otherwise, and the actors are good. Sam Rockwell.
Really? I was just going out on a limb on that one.
Yeah,
Love
he plays
so much.
Fosse, and he's great. He really saved it because the guy was just disgusting. He was a pig, and so it's not like uplifting in that sense or anything.
Right.
But
to watch him,
he does a great job.
He's one of the greats. For sure.
And then the last thing I'll mention is also on Prime, and it's a movie that just came out called Annette with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard. Wow. Just we talk about weird and riveting. It was not exactly that. I mean, it was one of the weirder things I've seen.
Really?
Like it was mainstream. About? First of all, it's a musical.
Oh, whoa.
Which I did not realize that going into it.
Can he sing?
Not really. I mean, she can.
Yeah, I mean, because she was in La Vie en Rose, right? Okay, yeah. But
I don't know if she's doing she plays an opera singer and he plays a comedian, and it's kind of in a not really, little bit of an alternate universe. It's just things are just a little different, so it's like maybe a few years in the future, things are just a little bit different. I'll say this because this might make you want to watch it or not, depending on your personal preferences. Okay. But they are a couple, and they have a baby, and the baby is a creepy puppet that they carry around singing because it's a musical, and it's a little, articulated marionette puppet. It's not trying to be when I first when they introduce it, did not know whether this was happening. They introduce this they're she gives birth and she's holding the baby, and I'm like, that's not a real baby. And I thought, well, that's just so weird. Why would they get such an obviously not real baby? But that was
you can just find a baby. Yeah,
and they apparently just rub strawberry jam on them. That's how they make them look.
Right.
No, but then it became
Hold
clear
on,
that
are
that was
there
an intentional...
strings?
No strings.
Okay.
But it does, like, move its little head around and has, like, articulated joints.
Do they acknowledge that it's a puppet?
No.
I don't know. This is weird to me.
And
Because I
it's
like
like
weird...
over 2 hours long. So that was the other...
I don't know. Sometimes that's the deciding factor for me is I'm like, over 2 hours? Mm-hmm. Not always, but...
And, like, the first big musical production, like, when they're, like, meeting and you know, becoming a couple or whatever, it's like... They just sing "We Are in Love with Each Other" over and over again.
Are they like making fun of La La Land? Like,
it was not. If it was making fun of something, it was only in the darkest, most evil sense. It wasn't funny.
So it takes a dark turn.
It's not. But it's not intended to be humorous at all. Like, he's a tormented comedian. I mean, there's funny aspects to it, and at first you're laughing at the whole
ridiculousness
like,
of it. Yeah. I'm just kind of rolling my eyes at this whole idea. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It was beyond a lot.
It's a lot.
And that's we're gonna leave it there. And I do want to hear from people who have also watched this, or if you knew that's what that was about, and then you watched it. Like, is it fitting? Is it like
like does knowing what you're getting into
does that
make a difference here? Yeah.
Because if I had known that, I think I probably would not have
gone for it. Yeah.
But I ended up watching the whole thing.
Which says something. Although you are better about that than I am.
I also, I did, prepare. I did my cooking for the week while I was watching it.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't I was not riveted.
Totally engaged, yeah.
Not riveted.
How insane.
I just wish I had watched it with somebody else.
Musical, puppets... Not funny, or mostly dark, in fact.
Very dark.
Okay. After we turn this off, I'm going to ask you details. You don't have to give spoilers away, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm probably not going to watch this ever.
Yeah.
And I just want to know now. So
yes,
we can go. We're going to go now.
We're going to go now and discuss this. And then we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Or you'll hear us next week. We'll talk to you next week.
Why do I say that every time? I just think of seeing somebody as...
Oh, man. Table tennis is getting crazy in the room next door. I think it is time to go.
Yeah, we definitely got to sign off now.
Bye.
Bye. You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts.